As you've seen, it's important to maintain a constant airspeed during your approach to landing because this will make for a stabilized approach. But how would you like to be on final and have your indicated airspeed unexpectedly drop by 20 knots? Sounds like an exciting situation, doesn't it? The most probable reason this might happen is something called wind shear. Wind shear is an abrupt change of wind speed and/or direction, either vertically or horizontally, and it can really affect your airplane's indicated airspeed and therefore the lift. Now, as you can guess, you'll want to be aware of those situations where you could encounter wind shear. Now, the most frequent causes of wind shear are thunderstorms, fronts, low altitude temperature inversions, and obstructions, such as mountains or buildings. Let's talk first about thunderstorms. Most everyone has been around a thunderstorm and noticed the wind kick up just before the rain gets to you. This is because the rain pushes the air out of the thunderstorm and causes a downdraft. When this downdraft hits the ground, it spreads out horizontally. If you were taking off or on final and this was coming up from behind you, you could have indications similar to the ones we discussed earlier of a 20-knot shift in the wind. You would be going from a calm air mass to one that is going 20 knots faster. Another case in which you might get wind shear is a front. Now, when a front passes, there is a shift in wind, and again, this could give you wind shear. Low altitude inversions are another cause of wind shear. An inversion occurs when the air aloft is warmer than the air below, instead of colder as it is normally. Usually, the air above an inversion is moving and the air close to the ground is calm. So as you descend from the moving air into the calm air, you will see a change in your airspeed. We'll talk more about fronts and inversions in the lesson on weather. The last wind shear situation we will discuss that could affect your takeoffs and landings is obstructions. As the wind passes around hangars or over and around hills and then crosses the runway, you will have some places where the wind is strong and others where there is virtually no wind. Since there will be different wind speeds, you'll most likely encounter some wind shear. So far, we've talked about the effect of wind shear close to the ground. Although wind shear is possible at any altitude, the effects of it on our airspeed will usually not be as dramatic during cruise because our airspeed will be much higher. Well, now that you know where you could encounter wind shear, let's talk about how to avoid it. If you are on final and you encounter wind shear, you will want to make some throttle adjustment. Let's take a situation of descending from a headwind into an area where the wind is calm. Now, in this case, you will want to increase power to return to your previous approach speed. And because your lift and your airspeed decreased, your nose dropped. So you will want to pull the nose back up to get back on the correct approach path. But what if it was reversed and you went from a tailwind situation to calm wind? Well, then you would have to decrease power, and because your airspeed and lift increased momentarily, you will have to lower the nose slightly. However, if you know that there are thunderstorms in the area, or that there are hangars or a hill on one side of the runway, you can go to a different airport or choose a runway that avoids the wind shear. Another option would be to circle the field and wait, since most wind shears associated with a local airport will move or dissipate within 15 minutes or so. And the way to avoid wind shear while cruising is to watch the weather, know where those fronts are, and avoid those thunderstorms. So always be alert for situations that might cause wind shear.